Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And we are here with Lisa Benson. It's a fabulous woman with a fabulous reach in a big network to women of businesses. But I would like to know better from her. So here we are. We have Lisa in front of us, and we would like to get to know Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Hello.
Hello, Patricia. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So talk to us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what are you, what kind of business or what kind of activities you do, what you like, what excites you in life.
Aw, awesome. Thank you. Oh, I was just distracted because there was a little bunny running across the road. I recently moved to my dream place, the coast of Oregon, the northern coast, in a teeny little town with 300 people. And I'm so blessed because my home butts up against the wildlife refuge and protected wetlands. So I'm always seeing like deer or elk or bunnies, and it's really hard not to. Sorry, I got distracted there.
No, that's fine. What a way to be distracted. What a fabulous way to be distracted. Yeah.
I know. Oh, but
Yes.
anyway, thanks again for having me on. I grew up in Southern California and Orange County, and then eventually San Diego. And I really was blessed in many ways to be brought up in an upper middle class neighborhood. And I decided I didn't want to go to college for a while. So after high school, I went and lived in Europe for a couple of years. And I feel that was kind of almost as good of an education. And then decided to come back and lived in a little state called Wyoming, which some people think is a city. This was
wow, in the middle of nowhere, like up there.
I know, going from like 30 million people in Southern California to like 300,000 in the state. But I lived there for about 6 years in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which was a gorgeous mountain town, and just had that little lifestyle for a while, and then came back to the States. And well, after I left Germany, came back to the States, and then decided I had to go through a divorce. And so I went back to where mom was, and mom was still in San Diego. So I ended up back here in the early 80s. And she invited me into her business, which is the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. It was referral groups for small business people. It's called Leads Club, still going on today. And I feel really lucky that I got to work with all these amazing entrepreneurs every day and help them build their businesses. And it was 38 years of my life. So it was a pretty big part of my whole being. I called my mother Allie in public because that was her name instead of mom when you're in business. So, yes. Allie started Leads Club for women because back in the 70s here in the States, women weren't welcomed into some of the networking areas that men did, like Rotary and Kiwanis and all the philanthropic things. So I just feel, again, so lucky to have gotten to be in that playground for so long. And then my personal dream came through a year and a half ago, and I moved up here, sold my business, sold my house of 30 years. And here I am in a teeny little spot on the Oregon coast, and I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. And actually, that's how we met, through the business network.
Yeah.
We met like every month for our lunch, the Rancho Santa Fe Business and Professional Women. And we share, like, I don't know, for me it was like almost at least 8-10 years, like a long time. So, and I got to meet got to meet a lot of nice women that I some of them they're still communicate with. Yeah, very nice, very nice. So I wanted to interview Lisa because I know her for so many years, and for what she has been doing, which is pretty awesome. And I know she has a message, like every one of us has something to say. So I'm trying to reach women from different backgrounds, different walk of life, to tell us a little bit about what was that experience or experiences that allowed them to flourish like they are right now, because that's life, you know. We grow, some people grow through pain, some people grow to smartness, we don't know, but it's definitely is a learning curve, and we are in this life to learn. So let me go back here to my questions, and I'm going to start asking Lisa. Can you describe a situation in which you went through something? I'm not sure bad. It could be bad, but could be painful or tough or hard, that you were not wanted to be. You know, for some people it's really hard. You did not wanted to be in this world, or you just were so depressed or desperate, or just you were, you know, just disconnected from the world or disconnected from yourself. Did you have any situation like that in your life? And if so, if you would like to talk to us, because that's the purpose of the channel, that we learn from other stories, other people's. And thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, we spoke a few months ago and it was so nice to reconnect, because that Rancho Santa Fe Business and Professional Women's group we belong to was actually one of my favorite networking groups of the month. And that's pretty ridiculous because I ran networking groups, you know. But what I think I really loved about that group is it wasn't just business, it was also supporting other women. And it was just and it was fun. So I don't know, I love that group, and I'm so blessed that I got to meet you too.
Yeah,
but
that's
anyway,
so cool. That's so
yeah,
cool.
so
Yes.
I was really fun to hear from you, and I've been thinking about something that was impactful in my life, and mine goes back really far. If I had to think of a difficult experience, it was when I was 11, my brother was 10, and our younger sister was 8. And my dad, who was an attorney, brought us all into the living room and said, if you kids don't work this summer, I know a judge and you'll have to go live in juvenile hall. And for those people who are not stateside here, juvenile hall is where they send under 18-year-old offenders. It's like jail for kids, and it's not something you would ever want to do. So what that really created at a very young age was, for me, a fear that if I didn't work hard, I would be in jail. And that eventually turned into a bag lady out on the street. And so for me, at least, I became extremely driven. And, you know, I was already working anyway. I don't know where my dad was coming from, but whatever. I mean, I was cleaning houses around the neighborhood and babysitting. So it's not like I was just sitting on the beach all day. You know, I had stuff I wanted to get. And so anyway, but I think it was really frightening for us. And we would look over at our mother. She did nothing during that discussion. She was just stone-faced. And then we pleaded with my dad, you know, like, okay, yeah, Jim and I, we're 11 and 10, we'll go work. But you can't make Karen at 8 years old go work. You know, it's just, so I guess I don't know if you'd call that work ethic or being driven, I actually had someone who I thought was a friend refer to me as manic a couple of months ago. And it's like, nah, I think I'm just type A. Don't give me that label, you poo-poo head.
So when your father said that, you said you feared, and it was just like what can you expand on that? Like it was like an admonition. It's like from now on, like if your life is gonna change. Did you feel that your life changed, like in that regards, towards work, towards responsibility?
I think so. I mean, even though his methods of using fear, which I do not like that method, it was effective. And I think what I hope to bring to the table today was that fast forward many decades later, I found that by kind of letting go, some people, I'm more spiritual than religious, but some people have a saying called let go and let God. And that's not really my saying, but a lot of people would understand that concept with that saying. And so I was so driven in my business that I could make things happen that weren't meant to be. Like, my intuition was screaming at me, but I wasn't listening because I have these goals. I've got to work hard. Otherwise, I'm going to be a bag lady or end up in juvenile hall. And it just
and how old were you at that time when you so how old were you when your father told you that?
11.
Okay.
I mean, I think
so
that's
that summer,
young.
did you work? Did you find
Mhm.
a job? What kind of job? Were you, like, you felt that obligated, like you had to? Okay. What kind of job did you?
I worked in his law office as an assistant.
Okay.
Maybe he just wanted free help for the summer and I took it way too seriously. I don't know.
Well, it's very something, back in the days, the education was totally different, and the view of parents, it was different, was more authoritative than it is now. So, and
Right.
you could not say any word about it. I mean,
Right.
there you in my way or the highway, it was
Right.
not into consideration at all.
Right.
So that summer you work at your father's office, and then after that, what did you do, like the next summer? Because you knew after school closed you have to do something, otherwise you're going to ended up on the street.
Right. Well, as is typical for an adult child and alcoholic, my father was also an alcoholic. And at that time, it was pretty closeted. And what I've learned about that was many decades later. But in hindsight, I just worked constantly. And I don't remember the exact chronology, but, I worked as a lifeguard at a local pool. As soon as I got my car, I went and worked somewhere else. And so everything was always focused on being productive and working, because that's what makes you a good person and staying out of places you don't want to be. So it pretty much, I feel like it impacted my whole life until quite recently, when I learned in the lesson from this, and I don't need to make it a long story, is that when the best things have happened to me is when I've kind of let go and, done my best, not been crazy about it, but just done my best, and then leave it open for the universe to bring me what's meant to be. And that's what happened here. I sold my home after 30 years living in San Diego forever. And I wanted to move to the Oregon coast in the middle of a pandemic and the most crazy real estate market in the world. And somehow, by the grace of God, I ended up in this neighborhood with angels as neighbors. And we watch out for each other. And so, I mean, that was just one small but impactful example of, I just want to do this, but I've learned now to let go and let the universe bring, and that's really hard for someone that's very driven in type A.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sorry, I don't have a really dramatic, horrible thing.
No. We all have a story, and it doesn't have to be bad. Like whatever was bad for you at the beginning, that is really shake you and make you think, and like, okay, I have to do something. That's what was your start, through your life, and it paid off because all what you conquered or what you had. And so when I would just go back to like every year when school ended, what was that feeling? What were you thinking? Like, okay, it's the end of the school year. I don't want to end on the street. Have you talked to your father again, or have you ever talked to your father about this decision, or have you ever discussed that? And what it came out from?
I don't remember. And again, that's kind of, I think, what I was trying to answer your question, and I got off on a tangent. But, being an alcoholic household, that there's a lot of fear around many types of alcoholics. And my dad was violent at times, never to me, but to my younger siblings. I find out after I'd left home. I was the oldest. And then, I never really thought about it. It was just, I always had a job by the time summer hit, to specifically answer your question. And then fast forward, my dad and I had a pretty good relationship in the last decades of his life. And I don't think I ever did talk to him about it, but I don't know, but I always worked.
So, I know when it is alcoholic in a house, it's a lot of turmoil, a lot of insecurities for kids. Did this desire, this driven way of life from you, do you think it was also to escape that somehow, to find another place that was, calmer and the little piece for you, gives you a little piece for you?
Yeah, got out of high school and I couldn't have gone further away to Bavaria. How many thousands of miles is that? 5,000 miles away from home.
Where in Germany? Where were you? I lived in Germany for a while.
I lived in Berchtesgaden down in Bavaria. My next door neighbor's sister was working in a hotel there as a civilian for the US military. Back in the 70s, we had a lot more military in Europe. And she goes, go visit my sister. She'll help you get a job. And darned if she didn't. And I just lived in Berchtesgaden for 2 years and worked as a civilian for the US Army in a recreation area.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so,
what experience.
Couldn't wait to get out of.
Okay, so then we have a clue here. We do have like, so the way you protect yourself was escape that reality, escape by work, escape by being busy, escape by going far, far, far away, and like separate, stay away from that situation that it's really, really traumatic for kids. And then perhaps you are being busy, like super busy. Sometimes we get so busy because we don't want to listen to the voice inside, and that tells us, your life sucks. You need to fix all this. You need to find you need to confront your ghost, your demons. You have to do that. So even if you go far away to Germany or whatever, they're still there. They won't abandon you until you say hello. How are you doing? Let's
True.
talk. Let's communicate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I certainly had much therapy in my life, no doubt, at many times. And when I got into the business with my mom, I didn't have a normal schedule because I was always traveling to all the different groups. And so I didn't have like, an 8 to 5, but I did put together a group of friends who were all adult children of alcoholics. And I did study that, and that was very, very helpful. It's part of a 12-step program. And it was really good for me because I learned that the ways I am are not me being less of a person or bad. It's just how it is when you live in that kind of a childhood. I'm giving all the Freudians a big
Well,
attaboy for their philosophy, but what happens in childhood is
it
impactful.
just marks you forever. I mean, the childhood years, they will tell. I mean, they will direct your life forever. It's like a plan, like a map. It will map your life. So that's what it's so important, when you're an adult, just to revise and see, whatever you believe. Well, perhaps it's not that true. Perhaps whatever you believe was just created, or it was just a protection just to get you through life. But when you were in your school years, what did you feel like? Like you had to go back home, you had to to be a good student, because that's part of, like, okay, you're a good student, but you also have to work. If you want to produce, you want to be productive, you had to have good grades. What was that feeling for you? Were you anxious? Were you anxious? Were you scared? Were you, or you somehow learn how to cope with that and just put it inside you, and then
I
make
think
it?
fear was the overwhelming emotion, fear, and that's pretty powerful. And so in addition to the fear, I think I also just masked everything by keeping super busy. So I was very active in a lot of different organizations and sports and stuff around. Yeah, so I was very busy.
Okay,
I guess that's the way I masked it.
Okay, so were you a good student? Were you a good student in school?
No, I was not a great student. I was an average. I was an average student because school was boring.
Okay.
You just went to school because that's what you did. So
what kind of groups did you like? Volunteering or sports, or like singing, or what kind of?
It's funny. There's 3 girls and myself that get together. We all met in elementary school. We lived in the same neighborhood, and they always make fun of me because I was like president of the ecology club, and I would make them walk to school on Earth Day, and that was 7 miles each way.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so.
Isn't that? But anyway, no, I did do swimming and volleyball, and I did do some sports. I wasn't, an A student at any of that. I was pretty average, but this is interesting to talk about it because I never realized it, because right now I'm just a huge volunteer addict. Even though I'm retired, sold my business, I spend a lot of time with a couple of organizations that I'm passionate about. So yes, I guess that's been in my DNA for a while.
That's cool. That's cool, because that is another way that you not you just get yourself busy, but also you give back, and when you do that, you feel good about it. It just helps you lift your spirit, lift yourself. And if you come from a situation that it's like is unpleasant, then that you sort of compensate somehow, that make you feel better, and you're doing something good for society, for the planet. So that's pretty.
I guess really drilling down, it was just to see how long I could not have to go home.
Yeah. Well, that is very common on households that have all these kind of situations. The father or the mother are violent for some reasons, or alcoholic, or drug addicts. Just like you don't want to be there. You just want to, just no come in at all, or just come in when everybody's just sleeping, or they so that's totally. Let's let me go back here. So when well besides like finding a job, what else went through your mind when you have all these I would say you have to comply to what your father wanted. So these were like, and you were very young. These are very, very strong and very difficult things to do, so what was through your mind when you have to deal with this situation? You might be scared because you don't want to end up in that on the street or whatever, but how did you just decode it, all this? How did you just tear in pieces and say, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, or I don't want to do this, I'm going to talk to my neighbor. How did you process that?
I think it's taken decades, but in the question you just asked, it reminded me, immediately after that little family meeting when I was 11, I think it was already, okay, dad's a jerk. but I think what was hardest for me is mom had always been so loving and caring, and she didn't stick up for us. So that not only was I fearful from my father, but I felt no love or support from my other parental unit. So
like she betrayed you.
Well, yeah, by saying nothing, and so I think what that does is it probably forced me at an early age to become very, very independent.
Only trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least just don't trust anybody.
Right.
More than trusting yourself. I mean, you are very driven, but many of the world's problems is because we don't trust ourselves. We don't know our worth. We don't believe that we are worth, and so for your mother, perhaps she couldn't. I mean, it is always like that. She didn't because she couldn't, for whatever reason, and at that time, we never say anything against their husbands, and they will never say anything. If they say so, they will say in private. They will never say in front of the children. That is good, because you want in that case, when they both the father made the decision, but the mother was aligned with, either bad or good, they were like like solid together. So, but that, yes, that's, I mean, we sometimes don't do things because we can't, and and we can't for many reasons, you know, for many reasons. So, you know, it's just sometimes it's sad because we should do something.
Right. No, it was a very different time, no doubt. But yeah. Yeah. So even today, I still have bits of that,
Are you
you
still
know,
processing this? Are you
bag lady syndrome. I'm reading a book. It's was referred to me by one of my score clients who was having some issues trying to ask for money in her business. And she was reading this book called Rich As, and then F_CK. So you'll get what that is. But it's, and I'm reading this today at 66 years old to help me feel more confident with, you know, the last year and a half, the stock market has been very scary. That's when I put my money in the stock market, hoping that would last me till whenever I die. So even now, so many decades, 50 some years later, you know, that some of that still resonates in there. And it's a constant, at least for me, it's been a constant, what's the word? Growth pattern, trying to overcome those early fears.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, some people, they process life, you know, whatever issues faster, and some other people, they
Never
take
do.
entire life, and some people, they never do, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like we are in different path, different journeys. So that's bad. That's no bad. It's good. But so you still working on it, you know. Sometimes you have some flashes that come. What do you feel? What's that? Do you feel in your heart? Do you feel in your stomach? Do you feel in your mind? What is your reaction? What it causes you to do?
You know, I think for me, feelings have been very hard to allow to the surface. So there was definitely a time in my life where I remember purposely blocking out my feelings because they were too painful and too intense. And fast forward, you can't just block out the bad feelings. It blocks out all feelings, that I learned much later. And so I think as an adult and growing, I mean, I've been to therapy, I've taken so many workshops. I mean, it's just been a lifetime of personal growth. And, you know, there was a point where I was just so fed up with all this personal growth. I took all my self-help books off my bookshelf and put them in boxes in the garage. You know, it's like, oh my God, I can't do any more of this. But it's just, I think it's been a life lesson. And maybe the good way to explain it would be peeling away the layers of onions of fear and, you know, just trying to learn about oneself. Gosh, I wish they taught, you know, I wish there were more psychology courses in every age of school, because, you know, we just sit out here feeling like we're so unique in our weirdness, but we're not, you know. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of psychotherapy too. I mean, gosh, if I could go talk to someone once a week, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And I have at times of my life, you know.
I'm from Argentina, and everybody thinks that soccer is the big sport, you know, the biggest. We just won the World Cup.
No, bravo.
But it is not. It's psychoanalysis. Like, I
Really?
swear, yes. Everybody goes to the psychiatrist, psychologist, at any time in their life,
Nice.
like anytime.
Nice.
And when the kids have problems, you always ask, did you haven't talked to somebody? Did you haven't talked to somebody? It's just like it's a pastime. I mean, it's a pastime. Like it's really,
Cool.
really, yeah. And it's very
Nice.
interesting. Yes.
Have some
yes.
healthy people there in Argentina then.
Well, we are more communicative. And so that's, I think it makes a big difference because
Yeah.
there are people that are very private, but for the most part, you always talk to somebody. And when people see you, they always ask, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, they're more proactive. Like here, you know, you're not gonna interrupt, you are politically correct. You're not gonna intrude and make somebody feel bad or they have to say something. But over there, no, they don't care about that. I mean, it's just like they just ask you what's going on, and you see what's your problem. And so, you know, and then you say something, and then psychoanalysis and psychology, it's not stained like it's not like the big stain that is in here in this country, that, you know, it's a mental health. You go, it's mental health. It's you are like crazy. Well, it's not. I mean, you go through life and perhaps you need somebody because when you say something, we talk, and it will be nice that eventually you start to think about what you say, and me too. But when you have a professional, they can interpret and you know, and respond according to what you say, it's much better. And it doesn't mean you are crazy or you have a mental problem. No, you might be going through a hard time, and you just need some clues on something. Somebody that knows a little bit more than you or your friends or your family, and can help you, you know, get through the next step.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. And you are correct about the stigma here in the US. I studied a lot through an organization called NAMI. It's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, because I have a brother with a personality disorder. And once my parents were gone, I kind of take care of him and his affairs. We don't live together, which is a good thing, but you know, and so I learned a lot about stigma, and it's sad because our country is so okay with the doctor going to a doctor and getting a pill for your heart or your lungs or your whatever, but going for another organ in your body, which is your brain, they have stigmatized out of the ordinary. And it's really sad. The mental health system in our country is horrible, and especially for a first world country where we have so many resources, we just do not put them in the right place. We put mentally ill people in jail. That is our solution. And it's frightening on all levels. It's terrible. Sorry, I'm going off on a bandwagon there.
No, that's because mental health here is like it's a bad word. People don't go there just because they don't want to be labeled. And you know, and sometimes you just need like a little push, you know. Let's talk about something, a push, you know. You go 3 months, 4 months, that's it. That's all what I needed. Actually,
I could bring this point home. I was in the last part of my time in San Diego, I was together with a man for 6 years, and it just wasn't working out too well. And so I actually went to therapy to one of the ladies in our Rancho Santa Fe group. I probably shouldn't say her name or any of that stuff, but it was amazing. And the reason I bring this up is we were in our like 3rd or 4th session, and I was just so upset about this relationship. And she goes, Lisa, have you ever read a book called Codependent No More? And I literally screamed. It was like, oh my God, I read that book 30 years ago because of another relationship. And now here I am all these years later going through the same stuff. And see, being codependent is all part of being an adult child of an alcoholic. So, it just pops up over and over again in your life. So thank goodness I had her to help me through that and remind me,
Exactly.
oh,
And once
anyway.
you have it in your head, like, oh my gosh, it's like this, it just fades away. It's just that you can start working on. I mean, it's not like a really it's not a problem anymore. It starts to become a solution, a way
Yeah,
you
and
have
I
to solve this. Yes. No, that's
read
true.
that book
And by the
again.
way, I went to one of these. We did MDR, the tapping. What is
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I can't remember how to say that, but anyhow.
Yep.
But yeah,
MDR.
definitely. I do not. I'm not afraid, and I don't fear, and I don't care about the labels. But when I feel that there is something I cannot manage, because sometimes it's so overwhelming, it's way beyond you, then I need to talk to somebody. And it's not that I'm crazy, it's just like someone else with better tools can help me in this time, to see things like with different perspective, because that's what it is. You just get your head in this turmoil, and then you don't see a way out, but there is a way
Absolutely.
out. And sometimes people go inside and find some people, some other people, they just had to talk to a psychologist or psychiatrist or social worker or whoever. So yeah, totally. That's cool. So let me go and see. Okay, so when you chose to be a workaholic or a work-driven woman, did you ever think about doing something else? Like, why did you pick that route and not another one? Like, okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, you did travel. So, but within traveling, you probably were, you're working. You work responsibly, and you work all the hours, and you didn't cheat. You probably did everything. So what make you do that and not just do something else? Okay, I'm gonna just like go away or do something different.
Well, traveling definitely helped me. I think the time, that 38-year period when I was in every position there was in Leeds Club, and eventually in 99 my mom passed, and I ran and owned the business from 99 till 2020 when I sold it. So in that time period, travel was an escape for me. And it's certainly, when you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, you never are off. I mean, I got one of the first cell phones. It weighed 7 pounds and it had a handset. I keep the handset because it reminds me of how far we've come. Now we have a computer that's this big, but you're never really off when you own your own business. And I think in my life, people may call me slow, but I really think more I'm methodical, and I don't want to make a big change or do something different till the groundwork is laid and I can be as secure as possible. So, where does all that stem from?
You don't jump to the emptiness. Never.
But listen to this. This is a perfect example. In 2001, and you may know her, I took Billy Francis's Guiding Mindful Change coaching program. And she was in the Rancho Santa Fe group for a while. But so I took this course to help me with my business, because I dealt with all these independent contractors all over the world. And so I took this coaching training. And it's like, oh my God, I love this. I want to do this. And that was 2001. And I did use the tools within my business. And only right now, only in the last couple of years, have I launched a coaching practice for myself. And so, I ended up selling the business, moving up here. And now, like, I feel like there's space for me to do this. And, coaching is very different than therapy. And I know we've talked about therapy on this call here, but one of the things I love about coaching is you can help people in whatever their life goal is they want to achieve, whether it's business or personal. And, my coaching business, I've been coached to, have my specialty of working with entrepreneurs, because that's what I did forever and ever. But for me, my passion is helping people with a personal goal. And of course, when you have a business goal, a lot of it falls back on the personal anyway. But so I have launched a new business as a coach, but it took 20 years.
Yes.
Till I felt comfortable to do it. Isn't that silly? Oh, well.
Yes. Well, that's great. That's great. And we're gonna put the information in the description. So whatever, just
I didn't mean
links
to.
you want people
I didn't mean to
check.
blatantly promote my business,
Oh, no,
but I thought it
that's
was
fine.
a really good example from your question of, look, I fell in love with this coaching thing and took 20 years to get it going.
No, that's well, that's life. That's what it takes us to get where we are right now. Some people take shorter times, and people take longer time. So, as I said, it's different journeys, different evolution time. So that's perfect. And I always say that it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's just where are you going, and you have reached your point. Because that's what you want to feel good about yourself. You want to trust what you do. You're going to trust your intuition. You're going to trust your gut. You're going to make sound decisions, and live in harmony, living in a balanced way. And that's the only way you can do that. If you trust yourself, if you trust your decision, if you and you surrender, you just, like you say, you let it go. You just had to let it go. You surrender, and life will sort of, like, you have to be alert, of course, but life will guide you and sort of like tell you what to do. You have to be alert.
Exactly. And I think the more, and I know women are known for this, but I think I must have a really high developed male energy, because I'm all over taking care of all of the details and all of that. But listening to my intuition, Patricia, I took courses on how to listen to my intuition. And again, a journey of trusting and listening. And so,
but it's just so hard, like coming from a situation or a position that you cannot trust anybody. Like, if you trust somebody, they will betray you. How are you going to trust anyone? Not even yourself. Because how are you going to get out of this situation? Mm-hmm. So it's just pretty hard and pretty amazing that you just so discover little by little that blocking your feelings will only damage you. It won't protect you. It will, So, and it's a long way. It's a long way to discover all things. Sometimes it's just through relationships, and sometimes it's through books, and it's just like so hard. As I said, everybody has a different life and different evolution experience, but for the most part, we learn through pain. We learn through through sad things that make us, sort of reflect in ourselves, go inside and see, wow, this is so sad. What I feel so sad, what I feel so depressed or so angry that this is not fair. And perhaps that's the good thing, that life is not fair, because otherwise how are we going to get to where we're going to go, just discovering, the fair part that they are inside us. That's when it makes us, find the way. So that's cool. Let me see. So the question was why you chose that way, that solution, just work hard and being very productive and just very industrious. Why did you didn't just choose like, okay, I'll let it go. I let it go. I don't do anything, just whatever, go to hell. You know what I mean?
I know. It's funny. If you look, so I have 4 siblings. There's 5 of us. And 4 of us are over the top, uber achievers, driven, goal-oriented, ram. And then my one brother is completely the opposite. He went totally the other direction, like what you're talking about. Just completely left the planet. It's like,
yeah. So
and
but for you, there was never that option. Never.
No,
were you afraid to be?
The fear was horrific. Yes. Yeah. It was fear. I mean, I'm labeling it instead of showing it, I guess, which is typical.
No. You don't have to, because the idea of this channel is mostly to show that we go through through these situations. We get it through emotions. We get it through this sadness or happiness, and most people identify with emotions because that's how we say, like, oh my gosh, I went through the same, I felt the same, what a hard time, and that's what I like. But you don't have to feel sad or scared, it's just like sort of describe and so by describing, you are guiding yourself. You're just taking yourself to your place, to where you were at, to that time when you were with your siblings and everybody was probably feeling the same thing, all scared. So no, that's great. Thank you for sharing this, because it's very personal and so, but that can help a lot of people. That totally
I hope so. It's just never, ever, ever too late to have some more personal growth. I mean, like I said, when I boxed up all my self-help books, I said, I just want 1 month where I don't have to have any learning. But
just
the more you do, or sometimes in my case, the less you do. I have to say, when I arrived here in my home, my new home here, and got unpacked and blah, 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 I didn't have my business, and I was in a new neighborhood, and it's very remote here. And it was like, I would sit down in the middle of the day, and it was really hard to just sit and like read a book, because I felt like I had to be doing something. And there was no logical reason that I had to be doing anything, none at all. And I don't know how much of that is habit or stuff still I haven't worked through, maybe. But
so, well, yeah, I would like you to talk about that. Yeah, because that is what I'm looking for. Like when you were there, you were totally out of your waters. It's just like that wasn't your place. You were used to all these activities and connections and phone calls and now that nothing like that, and you didn't have to do anything. So what went through your head? Like, okay, I want to do something, you know? What went through your head at that time when you just had nothing to do? No, nothing to do, no obligations. Let's put it
Right.
no obligation.
I filled my plate with obligations. You're saying, how did I feel? And I don't think, and I'm sorry, this isn't probably a very fun answer, but I I think there's still a lot of feelings that I don't feel. So what I did is I re-engaged my affiliation with SCORE, and now I mentor 2 or 3 clients usually a week, which is a volunteer activity. SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration, and we're all volunteers.
And I remember we participated. You were at the SCORE's breakfast. That's the only
Right.
thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes,
We did those
yes.
women's networking breakfast in San Diego, and so I now I'm a SCORE mentor out of Portland, because that's the closest group to here. And so I do that, and I really like helping.
So you did fill your quiet time with more work.
I did. And maybe I'm not proud of that, or I'm should or shouldn't be, but it's just but I do sit and read a little bit.
Is any time that you say like, okay, today I will do nothing, like just nothing, just sit in the couch, watch, wildlife, the bunnies, the deers, just for fun, just no. It's any time that you do that, and just you connect.
Yes, I'm being more protective of my time for sure. And I also have gotten involved with one other organization that I'm spending a lot of time with, but this relationship with this organization feeds my soul in a very special way. We were brought up to be very politically active, and I'm very frightened for the democracy of our country. And I won't say any more than that, but so being able to spend my time on the state board of this organization that has that purpose allows me to be more calm and less fearful about the state of our country. I'm very, very worried about losing our democracy. We've already lost a lot of rights that have been around for 50 and 60 years. And so volunteering my time for this organization allows me to feel like I'm doing something towards something I feel really passionate about.
Okay. But to make the long story short, you just feel because I mean it's important. I don't have to change your mind, and I don't have to educate or lecture on anything, but you pass from a busy life in Southern California to a busy life in Oregon. No, that's once there was in Point Loma, there was at the library, there was a sale. They have these books, they, like put it for sale. And I found this book is called The Art of Doing Nothing. It's a tiny book. I always was like you, always. I remember I learned from my mother, my grandmother. She worked all day long, like doing this and that. And at 5 o'clock, it was like a tea time, like time to relax, to sit. We drink mate, yerba mate. So there was a mate time, and just relax. You did everything, then you start working. After that, you start working on dinner. But at that time, so it was never a relaxed time, because when she sat to to relax, or just to come from outside or whatever, she started sewing or mending or knitting, like never a time to relax, just have a drink. That's it. Let's talk about things. Let's just be quiet or calm, just drink and see what I feel. Do I have a pain? Do my back hurts, or I feel good? What a nice day, or it's chilly, or it's cloudy. Just never, ever, ever, ever. And I'm just like you, but I just learned to do nothing, to do nothing. And I was pretty interesting because I was a procrastinator for my entire life because I'm a perfectionist. I want to do, and I'm always like, oh, I can finish because it's not right, it's not good. It's just like I did stuff and I never finished. And so after that, after I just start, just learning to do nothing, I never had a procrastination problem again in my life.
Interesting.
Yes, because I started doing things not when they needed to be, but when I feel like, when I was ready to do it. And so, and I did a lot of things and I finished everything. And then another thing I learned is just to be good enough. When I remember when coming to this country, I heard that sentence, you are good enough, or this is good enough. I almost died. I mean, it was just like outrageous. What do you mean? Like, good enough mean like, okay, if it's okay, that's okay, it's fine. It's just, even if it's not like, it's fine. It's just good enough. It's just not great, not good, is good enough. A little bit of less than good. It's just like it can go through, and oh my gosh, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's good enough. Like, and so I start teaching myself to be good enough.
Okay.
Because you never are perfect. I will never be perfect.
Right.
And perfection ruin most of things, because you will never attain perfection. Just God is perfect. And we just aim to be as close to perfection as we can. And that's what I try to do, just do the work best I can. But perfection, it's not even an option. So that's how I cure my procrastination, just to be good enough and do things at my own pace, at my own time. It's bad for the office. It's bad for the office, but
okay, I'll go get the book, The Art of Doing Nothing.
Yes, it's just it's very interesting. It's a tiny book, but one of the things is you just fill your bathtub and just sitting there, and do not get your phone, do not get a book. You just sit there, and just put candles or some, like a rosemary bath, but just stay there, and that was, I think that was the first step on understanding, because that's, I think, is the first step, is understand that doing nothing is healthy, and it's a way that how you connect with yourself, and you start to see what's going on in your life, because otherwise you see through I would say through a window, through a microscope, it's just see, but you don't see life directly because you're always busy. You don't have the time to see how life is going around you. So that's my position. But anyhow, that was good because we are parallel in that regard, and it took me a big chunk of my life just to realize that it's not good for me, it's not good for anybody, and it's not even productive, because most of the time you know sometimes you don't do the things you need to do. Very well. Let's see. We do have. Let's wrap up this. Okay, so just to wrap up this, you have all these experiences. You travel. You had your business. You sort of mask your feeling or mask your reality. Like doing this. Were you able to grow out of this experience, or are you still working on? Do you gonna go back to see how much you can find about yourself, or do you think this is it? This is my life. I love it. I mean, I learned from all my experiences, or do you think you need to go? Just to go further, you go extra.
Well, I believe in lifelong learning, but I think in lifelong personal growth also. And again, like peeling away the onion, I think what I'm doing right now is using different tools. So, I do keep my weekends sacred. I am doing much better at meditating. And I'm doing phenomenally better at letting the universe take care of something. So I have made strides, and I'm sure I'm not done. But I think I'm using different tools than I used before. So maybe I'll get different. And the biggest one is probably finally learning to listen, finally listening to my intuition more, even though I know I've wanted to do that. For some reason, for me, it was hard that was a difficult journey to get to where. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably a 7 or an 8, but
Okay.
I'm sure I was a 1 or a 2 before. So
no, that's a lot of progress. And so when you say I allow the universe to guide me or to provide me with whatever I need, how do you allow that? What do you do just to allow the universe?
Well, I'm super visual, so I do always have a vision board.
Okay.
And for the first time in many, many decades, I'm going to keep the same vision board for next year because it's exactly what I want. And
have to change the year. You have to change the year.
Yeah, that's true. Got to do that.
Yes.
Anyway, but I think just continuing. What was your question? Sorry.
No, if how do you let the universe help you? What do you do just for the universe? Because the universe, I let the universe to help me or to guide me. How do you
probably through meditation? I know many people pray, but I believe in really having clear goals, and then the way the universe helps is if I tap into my inner wisdom through meditation. So I hope that's good, but that's what I do.
Okay. No, great. Awesome. Okay, so we've been talking for almost 1.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I know. Well, it's 2:19. We started like around 1 or something. So so just to wrap up this, do you have anything that you would like to share, like some tips? What do you do when something is not going well, or something that might help us? Just whatever technique you use, or way or idea, that will be awesome, just for people to learn and to use it if they want.
I think it is part of what we've been talking about towards the last part of this discussion. And for me, if I'm in a very difficult situation, is just stopping and acknowledging the situation. I have a real life example that is pretty graphic, but basically just stopping and looking inward and acknowledging I took my dog to the vet, and the vet broke her leg getting her off the x-ray table, and she was already 12 and very weak. So it ultimately ended up that I had to put her to sleep 24 hours later. But during that 24-hour period, I was driving to Portland to a specialty vet, you know, in the dark, in the rain, with my dog in pain in the back seat. And I'm sitting there going, what on earth did she or my dog or I do for this to happen? I'm sorry, it's looking for a message or looking for the lesson. So stopping, looking inside, acknowledging where you are, telling the universe, God, I'm really open to whatever I'm supposed to be learning, because I'm having to go through this horrific situation. And I think that helps me, the stopping and looking inward. And some people would say God, I just say the universe, asking the universe to please help me be more open to whatever lesson I missed last time.
Oh, no. That was, what do you do to let the universe know how to? No, I guess you just told us, just to connect and just to let it go, stop whatever thinking, and just please give me an advice, give me a guidance, enlighten me on this situation, and I'll do it. Yeah, awesome. Well, this has been very, very nice. I'm going to start recording, but we're going to just say goodbye on the
well, thank you.
private. But just to tell people, they are watching the video. Thank you, Lisa, for this fabulous conversation. I think we learned a lot, and we can get nice tips for just growing in our life, or making our journey a little bit easier, and just spread the good word, because that's the purpose. We are all in this together, and it is true. We are all in this together. So the more love and good vibes we put into this world, the better we all will be. So thank you for being so nice, so patient, and so insightful, because you just share like a very, very private and tough story. Not everybody is wants to do that. So okay, thank you everybody that is watching, and until the next video. And every information, for Lisa's business will be in the description for all of us to have information. Thank you. Bye.